Okay, so before we get started with writing the front-end code, let's just quickly take a recap to see what we have done so far. This is our contract. In the contract, we have a struct called user, which has wallet, which has username. I mean, the name of the user, username, which is the Twitter handle, their bio, their avatar, URL, and then we have a mapping from Ethereum address to the username, and then we are mapping from username to the user object. And why we have two mappings here is because I wanted to test that, first of all, username is taken. Like, for example, the wallet person who is using the wallet already has a username. So same person with the same wallet cannot sign up twice with two different usernames. And the second thing is to make sure that each username is unique. So we want to make sure that no one else uses the same username as the previous user. So, and then we just do these two checks. This require statement is an invariant, which means that if this condition fails, it will throw an error and it wouldn't proceed. But if the requirements succeed, which means that we create the new user and we add the username to the username's mapping, and that's it. And then we have a get user function, which takes an address and returns the user from that address. We also have, since we have declared these two mappings public, we can directly get the user from their username. So at abhibisht, which is my Twitter handle, so would return my user directly, right? So anyway, so we wrote this and we wrote the tests for this, and now we're going to do the exact same thing from the web app. So yeah, let's get started with that. So we currently have the contract here. Let me go back to the dApp, right, which is our Next.js app, and let's run this app. Actually, let me run it in the terminal so that we don't get obstructed for space. So I'll do, here we are in the main directory. We'll go to dApp and we'll do yarn, or sorry, is it npm? npm run dev, right? So now our app is running. Yep, so this is the starter pack which Next.js gives us, and we can start writing the app right away. So in our dApp folder, let me keep this open, but get rid of the rest. Yep, so this is my index page. I can call this Twitter and make sure that the title is Twitter. Actually, this is too obstructive. Let me bring that window outside. So now we can basically easily look at what we're building on this side and write the code and see the terminal on the other side. Usually what I would do is I would have like a monitor, which was my external monitor, where I would keep one window and keep another on the laptop. But either way, since we're recording right now, this will do. So yeah, let me get rid of this Next.js and call it Twitter. We don't need this to be an A tag. So let's call this, I don't know, what can we, I can use span. That'd be fine. We don't need this link. Right? So it's welcome to Twitter now. Let's take a look. Let me get rid of all of this. I don't think we need all of this. We can keep the main. All right. So this should be clean, and I don't like this blue that much. Let's try another one. Just too light. Yep, this looks almost like the Twitter blue. I'm not sure if this is the exact one, but yeah. So Tailwind gives us all these style classes, right? You could do your text red 400, which will be a brighter red. If you do text red 100, which will be like a very light red. But like it can, Tailwind has a bunch of styling classes. You can open Tailwind documentation and you can read about how they think about styling, and I think that it's a very good way to go, because a lot of scalable front end projects go with Tailwind CSS, because a lot of these classes just keep getting repeated if you write your own CSS, but you could just use Tailwind and use the standard classes, and it solves the same purpose. So anyway, we do have welcome to Twitter now, and what we want to do right now, we can also get rid of this footer, I think, right? We can just say powered by Ethereum. See how that looks. Yeah, I think we can keep it. So, all right, we have Twitter now, and we want to render something here. Let's render a button. So let me, okay, just under this, let me render a button. One shortcut you could use is do button dot flex. Actually, we don't need it to be flex. We just need it to have a padding of padding vertical of 2, padding horizontal of, I don't know, 6, and BG blue 400, which was our color. So if I just do this, it would render a button for me. This is Emmet abbreviations. You can just start using it, read about Emmet, and it saves a lot of time, and you just want to keep writing code really fast. So we can call this connect with Ethereum, right? So this will render a button. What we could also do here is call text white. That will make the text white. We could do rounded XL or something like this. So this will make our button rounded, right? We could make it more rounded, but I think this is okay. We just want to give some margin. So let's not give the margin here. Let's give the margin to this, I guess. So I can say MB8, which will give a margin bottom of 8. Yeah, this looks good to me. Yeah, so now we have this button. It doesn't really do anything. Let me give it an on click attribute, which will basically just say console.log to do connect Ethereum. Right? So let's just make sure it's working, and let me clear this. It should connect to Ethereum. And now what we're going to do is we're going to write the actual logic to connect with the Ethereum wallet. Right now it's on Ropsten network, but as we know, we have our own network running here. So we can connect to this network, which is running on localhost 8545. So let me do that. Yeah, now I'm on localhost 8545. I already have 2 accounts here. I can just reuse these accounts to do my Ethereum stuff. Okay, now going back to the development, what we will do here is we want to write some Ethereum functionality, and we can bring this button out into a button component. So let me just make a components folder, not here, outside somewhere. Yeah. And we can, just to keep things clean, we can add a new button.tsx, and we can say RFC. I don't have React snippets right now, but anyway, what we can do is const button is React dot fc. We can give it some prop types, but let's not worry about that. We can return whatever we have here. Let me just, yep, and we can give it some props. Type props. Say it has a label, which is a string. It has an on-click function, which, yep, I think this is good. So let me see if this is okay. Why is this complaining? Yeah, I need to export this, so I'll do export default. Oops, export default button. I think this should do it. So right now we have a button that take type props, which needs a label and on click. So this is what TypeScript is mainly useful for. So if I render a button here, it will give me an error that it'll tell me that button is missing some props, which is label and on click. Let me give it a label. Let me see what we had here. I will not render this. Instead, I will render the label here, and we will get the label from props. So label and on click. And here, let me take this on click outside and render on click, right? So here, the label can be connect with Ethereum, and we can do an on click function, which is this function. And so this way my button becomes reusable. Now I can use the same button for any other purpose, right? So this just makes our code a little bit more clean. You'll see how it makes it clean, but basically we can confirm that it still works to do, right? So yeah, now what we want to do is we want to write the actual Ethereum functionality. We can write it here, but I would prefer to keep it clean a little bit. So let me also create another, let's say, hooks folder, right? and we can write a hook called use Ethereum. Actually, let's just call it use Twitter and just keep everything inside of there. And this can be a TS file because we will not be rendering any JSX or TSX here, right? So TypeScript, TS is the extension for TypeScript. And we can write a function here, Twitter, right? And we can export this, right? So this will be my function, and let's write this function. But before this, we need a few things, right? We need the contract, which is, so let me actually, we have it right here, right? So let me show you how we get the contract. So this is the contract that we wrote. So let me cd into contract, and we will compile this just to make sure everything is fine, right? Okay, nothing to compile, which means we didn't make any changes since we last compiled it. So what we need is go to artifacts, contracts, and Twitter. So this is our contract file. So this JSON file, I'll just take the contents of this JSON Twitter.json and put them somewhere in the dApp here. So I can directly read from there, but just for the sake of separation, so that even if you're developing the contract and editing it, it wouldn't affect the web app directly. So let me in the hooks folder for now, I think this would work. Let me just add twitter.json and paste everything here. So this is called the contract data, and it has the ABI. We will be using this ABI. So right now I'll just put this file here and we will reuse it here. So let me import what I just exported from there, right? Import Twitter from, look, it already tells me the thing, but I can just import it from here, right? Because I have it right in the same directory. But I could also import it from directly from the contracts folder, because we have a monorepo, and that's an advantage of a monorepo. But I just want to keep it separate because we'll be doing other development there separately. So I have Twitter now, and I can extract the ABI from here. Let's just put it in, um, let's just call it contract ABI, and we say this is Twitter.abi. So this ABI will be used to communicate with the Ethereum protocol, and we also need the contract address. Let's say address equal to, we need an address, right? So we need to deploy our contract. Let's deploy it. So as you know, we have the Ethereum node running here. So we want to deploy the contract right there. So the command for that is npx hard hat run. So we know that we started the contract file with standard contract from hard hat. So here in the scripts folder, you see there's a sample script. We can repurpose this. Let's call this deploy.js. We don't need all these commands. You can read them, it will give you some context, but right now we don't really need it. This is, let me call this Twitter, and this as well, and this as well, right? And let's call this Twitter was deployed to twitter.address. Let's see if this works, right? So I want to run, I'm in the contracts directory, so I want to go to scripts slash deploy.js. And we need to also pass the argument here for localhost. I think it's network localhost. So this will deploy it. Oops, there's an error. Let's look at it. Okay, so too many arguments. So here, when we are deploying this, we're giving it some argument, but we are not expecting that argument in our constructor. We don't even have a constructor, so there's no argument there that's needed. I think that's the issue. So let's run this again. That run deployed, Twitter deployed to this address. So we got our contract address. So let me take this contract address and put it somewhere here, right? Now we have the contract address and we will use this contract address here. So let's get the Ethereum object and also keep it somewhere globally because it's coming from the window, which is the global this object. So let's call this const Ethereum is window dot Ethereum. Uh, but this will be a problem because Next.js, for example, runs on the server side and on the client side. Window is something that is only on the client side. So we should do something like type of window is not undefined and window.ethereum. And why is this a problem? Because Ethereum doesn't exist on the window. So we can just take this window and call it window as any. It's just a TypeScript quirk. We can also give window a type and have Ethereum as a property and call that any, but for now, I think this should do. Now we have Ethereum as well. Okay, one thing we need to do is we need to create the contract, and to create the contract, we need the Web3 provider, which we don't have right now. So let me add that, right? Yarn add Ethers, because Ethers is our Web3 provider. So while we do this, let me also see where we're running the web app. Yeah, we'll have to run the web app again because we're adding a new dependency. So let's have it finish and then we can rerun the app. But basically what we want to do here is we want to have some kind of provider, right? And that provider comes from Ethers. So that's why we need the Ethers here. So let's just wait for this to finish. Okay, it's done. So let me restart my web app, and we can do provider is new Ethers. Yep, that's exactly what we need. And we need to import Ethers. Why doesn't this work? Maybe it's a named export. Still not resolved. What's the problem? Oops, I added it to the contract. My bad, guys. Let me remove this. We don't need it in the contracts because even the contract has its own node modules and all this. We don't need it there. We need it in the dApp. So let me go to dApp and import Ethers here. So yarn add Ethers. That is so that this is the kind of problems that you will face when you have a monorepo with two separate projects which both have node modules. Usually there would be this would be something else and only this part would have node modules, but like they both have their own node modules which need to be separate. So this is why. So now we can see that Ethers is resolved and we can get a Web3 provider from Ethereum. And I want semicolons here because it is kind of weird and I like semicolons. So let me make semis true, and this should give me some semicolons on all of my files. Yep, we got it. And in the index as well. Okay, perfect. So now we have the provider, and now we need to instantiate our contract, for which we need also a signer. So we need provider.getSigner, and then we need the actual contract. Let's call it Twitter contract, and that is going to be new ethers.contract. It takes contract address, contract ABI, and the signer. So this should give me the contract that I will use to make my calls. Actually, let's not do it each time because this is something that can be done once. So let's have another function called get Twitter contract. It doesn't have to be any sync function. Yeah, so here I would do this and I will return this. I can directly just return this, right? So now we will have the Twitter contract, and here all we need to do is const Twitter equal to get Twitter contract. So now we will get the contract here. Before we interact with our contract, we actually need to connect wallet. So let me write a connect wallet function. Let's just call it connect, right? And here, first of all, let's just wrap everything into try catch, because it can raise exceptions, right? So I can just log that exception to the console and make sure my application doesn't crash, right? And here, what I can do is I can see if not Ethereum, which means that Ethereum, the user doesn't have any Ethereum wallets. We will say alert, please install MetaMask. Perfect, right? We can also return right here. Let me just return, because if Ethereum is not there, we really can't do much. But if it is, then we can get accounts, right? So accounts is await Ethereum dot request, and what we're going to request is ETH underscore request account. So this will give us the authorized accounts, and if not authorized, it will actually authorize the accounts, right? So yeah, if account dot length is 0, which means that none of the accounts are authorized, which is not where we want to be. No authorized accounts, right? And return. And if on the other hand we have an account, we will take that account. We'll take the first account. Let's just take the first account for the sake of simplicity and log this, right? Console.log connected to account and so account, right? So let me see if this works, right? And what we want to do here from use builder hook is return this function, return connect, so that we can actually use this inside of our app. Let me get the connect function here from use builder hook, right? And this function, the on-click function of connect with Ethereum, is going to be connect, right? So let's test this. Let me go to my browser, refresh the app, connect with Ethereum. Okay, so it opens my Ethereum account. Let me cancel this for now. And this is the error. So user rejected the request. Let me make it smaller. So in Mac OS, whenever you have a full screen window, it actually opens the pop-up in a new tab, but we don't need it. But let's just do connect with Ethereum here. It would open your Ethereum wallet. I can choose which accounts I want to enable. These accounts will be added to that accounts array we just defined, right? So let me pick this account for now. And actually, let me take a new account that we have never used before. Let me see this account 12, right? So let me take this private key and import it on my MetaMask. So this is how you import an account. You just add the private key here, click import. So you have the account 4, right? And I want to connect my account 4. So let me do this. Yeah, connect account 4, connect. So now my account 4 is connected. Let me also select the account 4. Yep, it's selected by default. So now you can see I'm connected to this account, and now that we're connected, we don't need to show this button anymore, but we need to show something else. So let's go ahead and write that something else, right? For here, let's also get this connect account and store it in state. So let me say const current account set current account is use state of string, and let's start it off with an empty string, right? So now we can just see if this current account is not set, and here we can set this current account, right? So let me say set current account, right? And after setting that, I can also return that current account here, so that the user of this hook also gets access to current account. And let's just call this account instead of current account. Okay, just keep things simple again, right? So account is current account. So here I get this account, and I can just show this connect button only if the account is null. Account is null, basically, right? So let's just do it. If account show some, actually if just not account, show button, else. All right. So now since we're connected, it should not show me this connect with Ethereum button. It is still showing it. So let me see. Okay, now we are connected, and now that we are connected, our current account is in the state and it's not showing me the button. And why it didn't automatically detect it is because we are not checking it unless I click this button, right? So we need to check it. So here we can add a use effect hook. Um, and in this use effect hook, we will check if the account is connected or not, right? And we will do the exact same thing. We will check if there is no Ethereum. We want to let the user know, but at this point, since we are automatically checking, we don't want to throw the alert on the user's face. We can log that no Ethereum wallets found. Please get MetaMask, right? So now, and we will return right here. But on the other hand, if we do have Ethereum, we want to get the accounts, right, from Ethereum. We're going to do the exact same thing as we did here, but only the method would change. Instead of requesting accounts, we will just do ETH_accounts, because request account will actually ask them to log in. Actually, we can do that. Why don't we just do the exact same thing? Let me just call the connect function here. But what's the problem? Yeah, let me just try to call the connect function here and see how it goes. This, we need to finish this, right? Okay. So let's see if this works by default. Yeah, so now you see that connect function is automatically called and we get automatically connected to the account. This is perfect. Now we have the account, and let's just show the account here, right? Instead of null, let me just add a simple paragraph that says connected to. Let's make this let's say text red 400. Okay, so it says connected to this account. Perfect, right? So let me check the disconnected state again. Let me disconnect it directly from MetaMask. So I'm disconnected now, and automatically it will open MetaMask and ask me to connect because we have Ethereum here. So let me connect. Okay, so now I'm connected. This is perfect. So now what we want to do is, we want to, after we are connected, we want to actually fetch the user from the contract. And if there's no user, we want to create a user, right? So this video is getting long, but I think we can at least write the get user function. So let me do that right now. All right, thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you liked this one. If it was helpful, please smash the like button, leave a comment down below if you have any other questions. You can also reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter. I'll leave my links in the description and on the screen. So yeah, looking forward to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.